Hi, this is Shirish Kulkarni, founder and CEO of STROTA Consultech, helping small and medium businesses to grow for last 5 years. In this new initiative called as HATKE, we are talking to various personalities, business owners, people who think differently and do different things in this situation of pandemic and so-called challenge situation. And we are trying to derive those elements of HATKE differentiality, thinking differently, looking at the situation in a completely Hatke way or differentiated way. And we have a privilege of having Dr. Prasad Rajhans, who is an expert in intensive care and pioneer of emergency services 108 in Pune. So, Doctor, great to have you with us, Dr. Prasad.
Thank you, Shirish. Thank you. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you very much. It's a privilege.
Yeah. And again, great to have you in a day where it is full and it is a working day and you've taken this time. Thank you so much. We are really glad.
Thank you.
Good. Thinking about this situation, everybody is kind of panicking. Ki, boss, ye gadbad hai. This all stop the life and a lot of myths going around. So how do you, Dr. Prasad, look at this situation? And I know there is on the serious face behind that a little bit of a light person is hidden. So how do you look at the situation, Doctor?
Yeah. Firstly, before I start any discussion on this topic particularly, I want to put in a disclaimer. Disclaimer is that don't consider me as an expert on COVID. That is number one. And whatever I will express today are my personal opinions and I'm not representing opinion of any particular organization. Whatever the guidelines the government of India or any other official agency will issue will be have to be followed, and they will be superior to anything that I say today. So after saying that disclaimer, I can continue because then I can express my opinions as well. So regarding COVID, yes, there is a scare in the people's mind, and therefore various reasons. And as all of us know that COVID started in China, and then it went on to Italy and US and Europe and France, and it has created a lot of havoc out there, and the healthcare systems have collapsed in many parts of the world. But luckily for us, the good things happen for India is that firstly, the COVID came in late to our country. So we had some time for preparation, and so we also had some time to understand the experience of other parts of the world as to what is happening in the other parts of the world. And secondly, I would really like to congratulate the government of India under the leadership of Prime Minister Modi ji for this brave decision of going into an earlier lockdown. Now, it has been proved beyond doubt that the lockdown is helping our country and has helped us, because if you look at the number of new cases that have come and the doubling rate, it has definitely come down. So I think lockdown will decrease the transmission of this highly infectious disease, and definitely people had to bear a lot of economic consequences and many other consequences of the lockdown. But I think we have done well so up till now. Now, regarding the panic regarding COVID, I would like to say that we should not panic about COVID, because you see, if you look at the various diseases that you come across in India, maybe it is tuberculosis, maybe it is dengue fever, or maybe even it is accidents. So if I tell you that there are about 5 or 6 or 10, 15 deaths while traveling to Pune to Mumbai due to accident, or mosquitoes bite you and then you can get serious due to dengue and you could die. So that will probably scare you. But then that would not stop you from going from Pune to Bombay or things like that. So one has to understand that why, if you look at the mortality, that is the death rate due to other diseases like tuberculosis, that probably could be higher than COVID itself. Because COVID, the international mortality, we are talking just about maybe 1 to 2 or at the most maximum 3%. And if you look at the population of India, and also whatever numbers are coming from the world also, if you look at the mortality due to COVID, it is far less than many other diseases. The only problem with COVID is because the scare and the panic reaction is because it is very highly infectious
Okay.
and it can spread very fast. And one of the reasons for the lockdown is what we say the flattening of the curve. That is, if you have a peak of surge of cases in a very short time, let's say if you have a peak of cases, surge of cases, say within 1 or 2 weeks, then it could collapse the healthcare infrastructure and would because it would mean that more number of patients are coming to the hospitals, more hospital beds are required, more ICU beds are required, more doctors are required, more nurses are required. But if you spread across the same number of cases over a period of time, that is called as flattening of the curve, or doubling time is decreased. So ultimately, you will probably not hurt your infrastructure so much, and we could also serve our people better. Probably we'll get an opportunity to get some new drugs in place. Maybe the vaccines might get in place. So that time is that way very advantageous. And also because of the lockdown, if somebody is an asymptomatic carrier, let's say, and during the lockdown he becomes symptomatic, then you can identify, test him, isolate his contact. So there are many advantages of the lockdown. The reason I say don't be very scared of COVID, yes, you don't take COVID lightly. I would that take COVID lightly, do take it seriously. But at the same time, so काळजी करू नका पण काळजी घ्या. हा जो फरक आहे म्हणजे don't worry but take precautions. काळजी करू नका पण काळजी घ्या. So this is a very important sentence because just by worrying and sitting at home is not going to help us. And some of the numbers which you need to know why I am saying COVID, don't worry too much about COVID, is that 85% of the people will be cured. Even if they turn out to be COVID positive, they'll be cured sitting at home. So they'll be having some mild fever, cough, cold like disease, and they'll get cured. Now, coming back to this COVID again, if I would like to, let me complete the numbers first and then I'll go back to the coronavirus itself. Then 10% of the people will get to the hospital maybe, but they will be treated in the ward and they may not require intensive care. And it is only about 2 to 5% of the patients who might ultimately, even less than 5%, I would say 2 to 3% of the patients who would probably require intensive care. And out of that, 50% of the patients, almost more than around 50%, will still get out of the ICU as well. But what is most important is that who are these patients who will ultimately land up in the ICU? They probably might be senior citizens, that is more than 60, more than 70 years of age. Comorbidities like obesity, comorbidities like diabetes, blood pressure. So that's why time and again we are saying that pediatric patients, young children, they may be asymptomatic carriers, but they will not be affected by COVID as a life-threatening situation. But the senior citizens need to worry, and we need to take adequate precautions about the senior citizens. Now, coming back to this little bit about COVID itself. So let me come to a little bit about COVID itself. So this coronavirus, it is said that it has come from the bats and it has transmitted into the human beings, and some human-to-human transmission took place, which was the wet market in Wuhan. Now, I would not like to get into the controversy of whether it's a biological warfare or it's a natural virus. Let us assume that it is a natural virus, and it has been transmitted from the bats into the human beings. Now, the bats would probably have more than 500 variants of coronaviruses. And about 7 coronaviruses have been up till now come to the human being. Out of that, the 4 coronaviruses which we normally cause of our cough and cold, normally once or twice in a year, they have already come and met us. So the coronaviruses we have already met the species of coronavirus.
We don't need to worry about it.
Yeah. So the species which we have not met is the SARS virus, maybe the MERS virus, that is the Middle East Respiratory Distress Syndrome, or the SARS virus, that is the COVID-1 virus, and this is the SARS-CoV-2 virus. So this is labeled as SARS-CoV-2 virus. So this is that is also called as novel virus. We call it COVID because CO is coronavirus disease, and 2019. So it is coronavirus disease 2019 because the first case was detected somewhere in the last week of 2019, somewhere in December. That is why we are saying it is COVID. So COVID is the name of the disease. Corona or SARS-CoV-2 or novel coronavirus is the name of the virus. So that we have to understand.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Oh,
there are certain things about the this thing we need to know.
superb. I think that sets a ground about not to be panicking, looking
Yes.
at it objectively, and what are that exactly our responsibilities in this context is basically to have maintain social distancing. The whatever lockdown is there is only for our own help. Is basically for keeping that rate of increase, which is a peculiarity of this virus,
Yes.
rather than virus reaching us or we reaching to virus, making sure that we keep that distance. That's the meaning of a social distance, I would say. You have to keep distance from the virus. It could be human or any other aspect also.
Yeah. If you look at the transmission of the virus, it is not it is not airborne transmission. So it is not transmitted through the air. So it is somebody who has got cough and cold. He will cough out the droplets, and the droplets will probably settle down on the different surfaces. That is what we call as fomites. So when you touch your hands on the fomite, and those hands you touch your face, because the
Okay.
point of entry of this virus is either through the nasal mucosa, that is the mucosa inside the nasal cavity, the eye mucosa, and the oral cavity mucosa. If
Okay.
you even drop coronavirus on your skin and then you have soap and water washed with that, nothing will happen to you. Nothing will go wrong. It is only the virus that goes into the body inside the mucosa, then it will get attached to the receptors, then it will enter the body, and then it will primarily affect the lung. It might affect the other organs as well, and some part of the virus also can get excreted to the feces also. So yes, when it enters the lung, it does cause a cytokine storm-like reaction, and then that can be dangerous. So actually, it is the cytokine storm reaction is just the body trying to act against the virus. So it is actually our own immunity which becomes extraordinarily strong. So now there is a lot of debate in the medical community whether it's a viral pneumonia or ARDS or it's cytokine storm, and also a little bit of clotting which happens inside the blood vessels. That is microthrombi formation. The clotting inside the blood vessels which decreases the oxygen carrying capacity of the blood. So that's why the patients have what we call as refractory hypoxemia, that is decreased oxygen levels in the blood, what we call as refractory hypoxemia. So that is what it is. So we have to understand how the virus enters the body and why hand washing becomes more important, why wearing a mask becomes more important, why social distancing becomes more important. Because if you wear a mask and you are wearing a mask not to protect yourself but to protect others. That you have to remember.
Okay.
So if you are wearing a mask, if you are an asymptomatic carrier, that is you don't have any symptoms, but at the same time you are carrying the virus. If you wear a mask, you will protect others getting the virus. So that is most important. That's why very important in public places, we have to wear the mask and we have to follow this even after the lockdown is over. Secondly, if you are say 5 feet distance away from that person, 3 to 5 feet away from that person, since it is not airborne, it is a droplet infection, it will not come to you through the air. So that's why it's not like any other airborne disease. So this is not an airborne disease. So that's why if you maintain the social distance, the physical distance, we should have social interactions, but we should maintain the physical distance.
That was another point that you were stressing, right?
People were saying physical distancing and social interaction. So the social distancing is a different terminology. So if you maintain the physical distance, that will help. Thirdly, I hope that I'm on the right track. You can interfere if
absolutely perfect.
Thirdly, this lockdown that will prevent people coming out. People, if they are COVID positive, if they have symptoms, then we can isolate them, we can test them, we can isolate their contact. So that is also possible. And also, one has to also realize that how is this COVID ultimately going to end? So it is either through a vaccine or development of a herd immunity. So basically, the virus will not have the opportunity to get a new host. Now, for the virus, we are the host. So when the virus stops getting a new host, either because the host has achieved immunity, either a herd immunity or an innate immunity, that is on his own immunity, where we say that 85% of the persons are going to get cured in the house. So that is innate immunity, or some vaccine comes in, or some very important medication like remdesivir, which is being given trials, various trials are going on, that will come up. So these are the ways in which, or the virus, one of the Lancet editorial, in the editorial, it is mentioned that the virus will slow down ultimately because the cycle of the virus will go down, and so hopefully it will disappear. So this is all, it's very difficult to predict because nobody can really predict. There are various mathematical models which are trying to predict. But about the mathematical models, one thing is for sure, which one of the scientists himself said, that all mathematical models are wrong, but some are useful. So, so, so how much to believe? So how much to believe in the mathematical model is also a challenge. And if you want to believe in some models, then take it with a pinch of salt.
Right, right. And in fact, rather than getting carried away with that mathematics, if we ourselves objectively looked at the numbers, that the way that you said, how is the curve growing, whether it is doubling in a way that it should be or should not be, whether that amount of flattening is happening. I think that is the realistic way of looking at it objectively.
After how many days the cases are doubling, that is important. Or if you even if you look at the that percentage per million population, number of cases per million population, it is less than 1 in India. Some of the countries are having more than 200, more than 300 per million population. Or even if you look at if you do the number of tests. So if you test 26 patients, 1 person will come positive. Otherwise, the ICMR director Ganga Khedkar sir was mentioning that you have to do large number of tests to get 1 positive. Whereas in some countries, even if you do 6 tests, you are getting 1 positive. So that's the ratio.
And in India, again, you can correct me. We are known to be, by design, more immune or more capable, having more resistivity for things happening in the around us, in and around us. So is that helped us? No doubt, we should not use it in a negative way. Ki, no, mere ko kuch nahi hota, so I'll go walk on the street.
No, this. Yeah, I think somewhere in between I am losing voice.
Okay, I'll repeat it. What I'm saying, yeah.
I'm losing your connectivity and video and audio in between.
Right. I'll repeat it again. Is it clear now? Yeah, I'll repeat it again. That Indians are better in their immune system, the way that they are grown, the environment that we are always in. So we are kind of known that we are better in our immune system. Now, positive way is that question to you would be, is that help us? But we definitely don't need to really go on the road saying that, okay, mujhe kuch nahi hota and all that. But has that helped us? Is that a positive message to Indians that, okay, we are better in our immune system in general?
Yeah, the innate, see, it's very difficult to pinpoint about COVID without any scientific data. Right. So because without the data, it's very difficult to say that. But one can assume that, we are exposed to so many viral infections, and we are exposed to so many other things. And hopefully our innate immunity is much better than many other parts of the world, because I have lived in the UK and the US and many other parts of the world where, the air is so pure, and even small allergen, they immediately have asthma, or they have skin allergies and so many other problems. But maybe we just hope that something helps us and our lives are saved, because people talk about different things. They are talking about BCG vaccine, but again, the World Health Organization said that BCG vaccine, we get it in early part of our childhood, so that may not have any relevance in adulthood. Then they talk about temperature, whether the hot air will hopefully kill the virus. Now the Washington, that is the White House, has recently done a study which said that yes, it is susceptible to hot temperatures. So maybe in the hot temperatures outside, that is not inside the buildings, but the outside hot temperatures could prevent transmission of the virus. Let's hope that. So these studies are happening, and this was a statement issued by the White House about the temperature sensitivity of the virus. So there are various things which are happening. So let's see. Let's hope that everything comes out in favor of India. Up till now, things are having in our favor. So there is no need to panic. There is no need to really, get scared. Anybody who spreads panic, anybody who spreads any wrong messages, please try to avoid forwarding those kind of messages.
Mm.
try to support the government in all possible way, try to help the government, and we have got good decision makers, very good scientists who are working, and some of the things like the Arogya Setu and so many other things which we see, even the guidelines, the way the guidelines are coming from the government of India for the medical fraternity, every day there is an update from the Niti Aayog, the guidelines are coming. It is amazing. I mean, this is a very, very active government, and we need to support that.
Yeah, doctor, talking about other fraternity trying to help healthcare, there have been some claims or some says or some thoughts about helping in the form of ventilators, new ventilators, or some other equipments. I know you would have a view on it, but can you guide us on what is a ventilator and how does it work, or or what is the help required by healthcare industry that way?
See, regarding the ventilators, when the COVID pandemic started throughout the world, you must have seen that there was a severe shortage of ventilators all over the world. And in fact, even in the US, a city like New York was struggling to get ventilators. So many parts of Italy and New York and even UK, they were all ventilators. So initially, everybody wanted to get ventilators. So obviously, because of the shortage of the ventilators, people got this idea that we should produce more ventilators. So firstly, let me clarify that what is the situation of ventilators regarding COVID. Now, a lot of data has come out that interventions in COVID before the patient goes on a ventilator might be more useful than actually after the patient goes on a ventilator.
After that, okay.
So the chances of mortality, that is the death after the patient goes on a ventilator, are much higher. So there are other interventions, medical interventions, which I would not like to discuss too much into the details. But some drugs like steroids are there, some low molecular weight heparins are there, many other interventions are there, high flow nasal oxygen are there. So many other interventions which actually will prevent the patient to go on ventilator. So that is one thing. So that's why now this demand for ventilators has significantly gone down. That is number one. Okay. Number two, when initially the demand was high, a lot of people with genuine intentions, I would not challenge anybody's intentions, and genuine idea of helping other people or helping the COVID pandemic, thought of designing some ventilators. Now, some of these ventilators, I have been advising to some of these people, and I have seen some ventilators coming up in the market. They have been designed in a very short time, as short as 2 to 3 months. Now, if you look at a very modern ventilator, there are a few companies like international companies like you have got Draeger and Philips and Mac and so many other companies which have spent 10 to 15, 20 years of research and innovation and other things to make a modern ICU ventilator, which can actually is the ventilator which probably might help these seriously ill COVID patients to come out of the problem. So we are talking about saving lives. So I would like to say that as far as the Indian healthcare industry, respecting the effort which has been done by our people for manufacturing ventilators, I genuinely feel that we should really ask us one question: is that are these ventilators they are the same capacity or capability of your modern ventilator? That is number one. Number two, will these ventilators actually in saving lives? Number two. And number three, yes, like now if you, because of the economic slowdown, other things which we are mentioning, if there's an opportunity for different companies to come and manufacture ventilators, then yes, they should spend more time, put more investment and do more research, because unfortunately, even after now being in the critical care sector for so many years now, almost like 25 years now, even today, we tend to buy only imported equipment, like whether it's a cardiac monitor, whether it's a ventilator, whether it's so I would urge the Indian healthcare industry to compete with the international market, to create their own niche, to design good quality ventilators, to design good quality monitors, so that we in India don't have to buy anything from abroad. We will buy Indian. I am personally very much in favor of be Indian and buy Indian.
Wow.
And so made in India, because I have also bought one mannequin which was made in India by Indian Institute of Science. which was developed by St. John's Medical College, Bangalore, in association with Indian Institute of Science, and which is one-fourth the cost of the internationally designed mannequins. So if people come out with such quality ventilators, such quality monitors, which can compete with the international market, yes, we are very much in favor. But stopgap arrangement, a stopgap solution, a temporary solution, and then not following it up later on may not be the best idea to go about this. So, although yes, COVID needed initially the ventilators, but right now the situation has changed.
Right. So what I think what I'm hearing is that it is no quick solution to the situation. Let's take it seriously. If you are serious, stay invested long. Think it as a long-term way that we can help healthcare industry. Turn it around. Have iterations with you. Get your feedback. Get it proven, and then that becomes a solution which will be called as proudly, yes, this competes, and this is adopted and accepted. I think that's.
I mean, if we really have good healthcare solutions, the cost of healthcare will come down, and that is what we want.
Right. Wonderful. There was another equipment that you were strongly saying that instead of a ventilator, some name that I tend to forget, that you were saying that instead of ventilator, spend time on.
Yeah. What we were saying is that. Yeah. See, there's an equipment called as a high flow nasal oxygen cannula, HFNC or HFNO. Okay, HFNC, high flow nasal cannula, or HFNO, high flow nasal oxygen therapy. So this particular therapy has got only a couple of you can say adjustments on the monitor. That is, they've got a blender which can decide the percentage of oxygen going into the patient. It has got a flow meter which will decide the flow, that is, say, from 10 liters to say 60 liters flow. It has got a humidifier. So what it does, it provides high flow of humidified oxygen in an assured percentage of oxygen to the patient. And this high flow nasal cannula has proven to be useful in the pandemic of COVID, and many of the hospitals, even in the US, the New York, and other parts of the world, are using this high flow nasal cannula to prevent patients going on the high-end ventilators. So if we can get away without patient going, so I think this should be seriously considered, and this can be very easily manufactured in India, and people need to look at this seriously and look at the designs of this high flow nasal cannula. I'm sure the Indian healthcare industry can easily manufacture this.
Good. Wonderful. See, now a little bit moving out and a little bit away, but looking at your hectic day, as currently also you are sitting in a hospital as a ICU, focus on ICU. How is your daily life, and how do you manage to have that energy and positivity to really fight where you are seeing everything on the edge, right? And the death and life. So how do you manage your work life and stay that, positive?
Yeah, I mean, because of the COVID and lockdown and other issues, obviously there are restrictions to go to the playground or go for a morning walk or go to a gym. So maybe you can do some exercise in the house itself right now in the COVID scenario. But otherwise, I do have a regular exercise routine and pranayam and yoga routine. And I think personally, I feel that if one has a purpose in life, and like I was involved with designing of the 108 emergency services of the Maharashtra state and to some extent in different parts of the country as well. So if there's somebody has got a purpose in life, or your passion is your profession, then maybe you don't feel that you're working, and then you don't feel tired. And if you save somebody's life, it is the people are so grateful about it, and you feel genuinely blessed that you have got the power to save somebody's life. So these things make you work, and even in the COVID pandemic, our doctors are risking their lives, treating positive COVID patients with courage and bravery. Our nurses are going into the COVID ICUs, our doctors are going into the ward boys are going. So I personally feel that if the doctors and all these people are doing it, please do not discriminate anybody in the society who is COVID positive, or some of the relatives who have turned out to be COVID positive. Please do not discriminate against a COVID positive patient. And I have seen even one of the doctors or this is a bit sad part that
Mm,
some of the doctors who are working in our hospital, they have been told to vacate their houses because they are working in a hospital
mm.
by the landlords, which is very sad.
All right.
Or one of the doctors going to a society, he gets his motorcycle washed every day by the society chairman and secretary, which is very sad because this is kind of a panic reaction. This is not science. This is not out of understanding of the COVID. And some of this what tunnels they are creating, this hydroxyl peroxide tunnels, and all the societies are buying it. Or I mean, if this was true, all the hospitals would have first bought the hydroxyl peroxide, hydrogen peroxide tunnels, because it will cause actually more harm to your skin, more harm to your lungs, and it is not a material to be just sprayed upon you, and it's not going to kill the COVID virus inside your nose or inside your mouth or
Oh,
in your lungs. So, I mean, be practical, be genuine about it, and have some scientific basis for whatever you do, not out of panic reaction.
good, good. Coming to a little bit of your hobby part, I believe you are dabbling into poetry. Do you like poetry, or maybe
Yes,
some other
yes,
hobby
yes.
that keeps you, going?
Poetry, I like to read poetry. I like to write. Also, I do the quotes. Also,
Right.
and your daughter writes so beautiful poetries, which I have always appreciated, and I have always attended the functions
Thanks.
when she reads the poetry.
Good, good. So I think that's the element of personality which reflects wherever we have a hobby and we spend time, though being in a stressful situation, if it is our passion to do the work, I think you will see face like Dr. Prasad, which is always smiling, irrespective of seeing so many patients struggling, but he is like a wall where he will stop that at in his mind. And I know he stays in the same building that I stay. He has a son also in the same school that my son goes. And the challenge, I don't see a word called as challenge in your dictionary, doctor. Is that something true? Challenge, difficulty?
See, actually, I write different quotes, and one of the quotes which I wrote in between was that um, a challenge. Yes, I mean, you have to face the challenge. People use this word competition. There's too much competition. Competition.
Uh-huh.
Regarding competition, I have written one quote that there is no competition if you compete. You create your own space. There's only competition if you compete for the same space.
Oh,
So
oh,
like
wow.
so if you try to compete for the same space, then there is competition. If you create your own space, so in whatever you are good at, you try to be in that. And yes, I mean, daily we have to face life and death challenges, and now this COVID challenge is a new challenge completely. But yes, I mean, at the end of the day, we feel satisfied, I suppose.
Wonderful. I think that's extremely positive. Doctor, firstly, I wanted to say hats off to all of you doctors, nurses, ward boys, whoever is involved in this healthcare to face this virus with the straight face, going, crossing the line. All our respects and, hats off to you to whatever work that you're doing. So, yeah, please.
Okay. Yeah, can I say one last thing?
Please, please. Please,
Hello?
please, please.
Yeah. See, I would just, like, I would just like to request people at large and society at large. Now, they have been very kind enough to appreciate the contribution of the healthcare workers and the
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
frontline workers
Yeah.
and the people who are helping us keep the society clean and everybody. So they have been kind enough to appreciate that. But I just request that please, please, please be considerate to your doctors, nurses, hospitals, because they want to save your life. So these incidences where the healthcare workers get beaten up for whatever reason,
Mm.
or hospitals being ransacked and all these things. We feel very saddened when such things happen, and every single doctor feels in the community feels hurt, even if it happens in some other part of the country.
True.
So I would just uh, request all the people that spread positivity around and spread positivity about other professions also.
Good, nicely said, Doctor. Thanks a lot for taking time out and helping us to understand it, maybe demystify it to a certain extent, Dr. Prasad.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shirish. Thank you.
Thank you.
बिजनेस कोई भी हो, सक्सेस की नींव हम रखते हैं।
बुलंदियों को छूने की आपके अरमानों की उम्मीद जगाती जोत है, हर सपनों का हम स्रोत है।
सही स्ट्रेटेजी, परफेक्ट डिसीजन मेकिंग और बिजनेस ग्रोथ के लिए हम आपके साथ कंधे से कंधा मिलाकर आपकी स्वप्न पूर्ति करते हैं। स्त्रोत कंसल्टेक, सिनर्जाइजिंग ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन।